Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Please fasten your seatbelts. In case of an emergency, stay calm and trust your cabin crew. But what if the emergency was a hijack? What if your pilot escaped and the only one left to protect you was a 23-year-old serving you breakfast? That's exactly what happened on Pan Am Flight 73 in September 1986. This is the real story of Neerja Bhanot, and the decision she made inside that plane was bigger than anything she was ever trained for. It was the morning of September 5th, 1986. Pan Am Flight 73 had just landed at Karachi Airport for a scheduled stopover. The plane was on its way from Mumbai to New York with planned halts in Karachi and Frankfurt. A total of 379 people were on board, including passengers and crew. Many passengers were resting from the first leg of the journey, while others were still boarding. Neerja Bhanot, the senior flight person, had been on duty since the early hours. She was only 23 but already known for her professionalism and calm presence. That morning, like any other, she was going about her duties, greeting passengers, checking protocols and preparing for departure. Everything seemed normal. At around 6 a.m., a van stopped near the aircraft. 4 men stepped out, dressed like airport security officers. They looked official, but they were not. They were carrying guns, grenades and explosives. They shot a crew member near the entrance and stormed the plane. This wasn't a robbery. This was a planned hijack carried out by Palestinian terrorists, members of the Abu Nidal organization, one of the most feared extremist groups of that time. Their mission was to take the flight hostage and use the passengers as bargaining chips for political demands. The sound of gunshots sent shockwaves through the cabin. Passengers screamed, panic spread, some cried out for help, others froze in fear. Before most could even grasp what was happening, Neerja, the senior-most crew member on board, knew one thing. Something was terribly wrong and she had to act fast. She rushed to the intercom and sent a coded message to the cockpit. Her message got through just in time. Within moments, the cockpit crew, the captain, co-pilot and flight engineer made their emergency escape, sliding out through the cockpit hatch. That move left the aircraft grounded and the hijackers stuck on the runway. That one decision may have saved hundreds of lives. But now, with the cockpit empty and the aircraft sealed, the only people left to face the armed terrorists were the passengers and the cabin crew. And Neerja had quietly taken charge. Amid the fear and chaos, she remained calm, focused and determined. The terrorists began demanding American passports. They were targeting American citizens to use as leverage. But Neerja had already understood their intent. She started hiding American passports under seat cushions and in trash bins. She quietly passed the instruction to other crew members too. She moved between the seats, whispering to the passengers when to duck, how to stay quiet and where to move if needed. She memorized the layout of the aircraft, identified the nearest emergency exits and began preparing mentally in case there was a chance to get people out. Without a weapon and without raising her voice, she became the leader the passengers needed, the barrier between the terrorists and the innocent, and the calmest mind in the most terrifying place. And she kept doing this for the next 17 hours, without food, water, rest, and without thinking of herself. Her only goal was to keep others alive. As the hours passed, tension inside the plane grew unbearable. The terrorists were running out of patience. Their demands had failed. With no pilots and no way to fly, the aircraft sat helpless on the runway. The terrorists were trapped and growing restless. Suddenly, the cabin lights went out. Darkness took over. In that silence, the hijackers snapped. Without warning, they opened fire. Screams filled the air. People dropped to the floor. Others sat frozen in shock. Fear took over every corner in the cabin. Near one of the emergency exits stood Neerja. She had a choice. The door was right there. She could have opened it and slipped out and saved herself. But she didn't. Neerja didn't think about escape. Amid the screams and gunfire, she unlocked the emergency exit and helped others get out. Even in that chaos, she stayed focused. She guided passengers toward the exit, urging them to move. As Neerja helped passengers escape through the emergency exit, she noticed 3 children, too young to understand what was happening. They were too scared to move and stuck near their seats. Without a second thought, Neerja ran back. She reached them, pulled them close, and used her body to shield them from the gunfire. At that moment, Neerja was shot by the terrorists. She fell near the door she had just opened for others. But her courage had already made the difference. Because of her actions, 360 out of 379 people on board survived. One of the children she protected later said, "I'm alive because she stood between me and the gun." Neerja Bhanot was posthumously awarded the Ashoka Chakra, India's highest peacetime gallantry award. She was the youngest person to ever receive it. The United States and several other countries recognized her courage too. Her parents in interviews didn't just speak with pride. They spoke with quiet grief and grace. They said Neerja didn't just belong to them. She belonged to the nation. Courage does not always wear a uniform and carry weapons. Sometimes it wears a sari and serves you tea on a flight. Neerja didn't plan to become a hero. She just chose right in the worst moment. She left behind more than a story. She left behind a message that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is not run. To everyone watching this video, you don't need to be older, stronger or powerful to do something good. Neerja was just 23, but in those final minutes, she was more than her age. She let humanity play its part. I hope you liked this video. For more such true stories, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Stay tuned to my channel. Until my next video, stay curious, stay kind and keep believing in real heroes. Signing off, Page Pulse Bailey. See you next time.